Hello, and you're very welcome to the Turn End podcast. It's season 3, episode 24. Well, it was a bit of a madness for a Monday night up in Oriel for a change. In a madcap second half, somehow Dundalk managed to pull a goal back and leave with a point. To go through the game tonight, we have Gally and Donal. Gents, how are you?
Even
Donal's still listening to the team music.
He's in Glastonbury.
Yeah, I got Elton's on the TV over here. I'm not even listening to you, lads.
Gally, come to you first. Just immediately your take on that.
You have to be happy with a point. I mean, you have to be, considering. I don't think it was a chalk and cheese first half and second half. I just think the second half kind of lit up a little bit. That made the first half probably look worse than it actually was. I mean, I don't think we were top class or either were Pats for that matter, but you got to be happy coming away. It's nice to watch someone else going down to 10 men for a change again. I think the ref we can definitely get into the ref later. I thought you a shock of him and the fourth official. Probably one of the worst I've seen. But you got to be happy with a point. I mean, you'd like to think, would you think on paper you'd be Pats? Yeah, but then since John Daly's taken over, they've been excellent. They've barely put a foot wrong over the last couple of weeks. One or two sloppy performances, but they've been excellent since he took in. That's the soldier you get with a new manager. But yeah, you got to be happy with it, considering what's happened in the game, the red card. Considering how we didn't really get going in the first half, but it was always there. And I just thought we were excellent in the second half, considering we played mostly with 10 men, and you can't be anything but happy. I mean, look, we can talk about little individual mistakes, but overall, you got to be delighted with the point.
Yeah, Donal, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, the first half I didn't think there was anything between the teams at all, apart from one defensive lapse that let Pats in for the goal. I think second half they got a little bit on top of us just before the red card and then just after the red card. But then we were the better side then for the good chunk of the second half with 10 men, which we've been doing that 10 men thing wrong the whole time. We should have just, if someone else had someone sent off, we should have sent off 2 men and gone one less than everybody else played with 9.
We're going to write that down.
Yeah. But no, I thought like the performance was like, you'd feel better about that. I feel better about that. Then got the results. But that's like, yeah, you definitely take a point from the scenario that we found ourselves in 1-0 down with against 10 men. And look, a couple of players that like I think we owe a massive debt. As usual, I'm going to say as usual. I'm going to follow up on something that Pingu said in one of the podcasts before this, but we owe a massive debt to the goalkeeper for that point tonight. He made two fantastic saves, and it's the kind of thing that he did for us last season, like week in, week out. He was digging us out of scenarios that we like.
2 games in a row.
So many, he earned us so much points, so many points last year, and now 2 games in a row now. He's come up with big. I'm trying to stay awake. Two big saves to get us the point, and I thought he was excellent tonight. But the whole everybody worked extremely hard second half. So good performance I thought tonight.
Gally, going into this, Skip was kind of sticking pretty regiment to his starting team, but he ended up making 3 changes for this. In came McCourt, Doyle, and Tulloch. Didn't really seem to work for him tonight, though, did it?
No, and it's not like something. It's not like. It's probably something we've been crying out for. We spoke just off air, just for a split second we were on. Robbie McCourt just can't seem to buy a bit of luck and a bit of run. Like, good game in Weaver's Park the other night, but we're talking about don't let it. I had mentioned individual mistakes. I mean, he's had a howler for the goal. He really has, and even if we take that out of it, and I don't want to get fixated on that in particular because the performance kind of in a great way took away from that. But it's a silly thing to be at looking for a foul, getting caught like that. Completely ridiculous. And then what's even worse then is the ball bypass and a little simple through pass bypasses 3 of them, throws 3 of them down to the shops. It's crazy. But that all comes from that little bit of probably you can't say really naivety. You just can't. It's just stupid. That's what it is. I mean, Robbie McCord, for all the football he hasn't played from Dundalk, he's an experienced footballer. I mean, we've gone through the list of teams he's played for. You almost forget the squad that he's played for, but he has plenty of minutes in League of Ireland. He's an experienced player. But yeah, look, we get on to Ryan Tulloch as well. We've seen a comment there already that from Ken that it just wasn't his night either. I mean, it all culminated in what happened then in the second half. And normally these changes, it's not that they didn't work. They normally do work as the season goes on. Like on the flip side of this, we got Cammy Elliott, who's at for what he was on for, and he's gone off later on. He had an excellent game, but sometimes the changes just don't work, and it's one of the. It's not that they don't work. The players just never got into the game, and once Robbie gets caught in the back foot like that, it's very difficult. I'm sure, someone like John Flanagan will be able to tell you a bit better. Played full back. It must be very difficult to get yourself back into the game, knowing you've made an error for that goal. And it just, from then on, it was really, it was uphill probably till half time. The half time whistle probably, it was a relief to the lads, to get in at half time just with that result, the way it was going, and then come out in the second half, and they were excellent in the second half. But yeah, I didn't want to be that harsh, John. I'm glad you brought me onto that. But yeah, Tulloch, he is very inconsistent. When he's good, he's very, very good. But then, like John said, you get a game like that tonight, and you're technically playing with 10, and then he gets sent off. Like if your player's that bad, you're being outnumbered anyway. And then he goes and does you like that right in front of the Pat's dugout. But yeah, it just didn't seem to work tonight. But look, in the be all and end all, I think like Donald said, you got to be happy with what the outcome of the game. And in fairness, without jumping on too far, we probably could have won it. I mean, you look at, I still don't understand what Dickie Kelly's done in the 91st minute to put that ball wide. I don't know what he's hipped it wide. I don't know what you call it.
I think he threw his arse at it or something.
Flanagan said he's hipped it. I don't know what else you want to put it. And there's just those wee hard lines, those fine lines from getting a goal that you didn't think you were going to get. And look, it's just one of those nights. But yeah, look, the changes, on another night you put them on and they're fantastic. But then I just think, in particular, Robbie McCord, I almost feel sorry for him. He just can't seem to catch a break when he gets into the squad. Just for something like that to happen to him, and a player with Mulroney running him down, it's not ideal at that time of the match. It really isn't.
Yeah, I don't think there was much even happening really in the first half. Then it's a long diagonal ball from a free kick. I don't know. Robbie McCord seems to obviously step out to read the ball coming over, gets a small touch in the back, and he's gone. But he's got to remember that in that situation, if he doesn't get the free kick, the player's in behind him, and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, it was the hand up in the air. I think that it stuck with me at the time, because it's sometimes when you see things happening live, they happen really fast or they happen really slow. Like they're not actually, you don't get a proper visual of it. But then when I saw it again, it's like there is a second where he has stopped and the hand is up. And it's not a free kick, but he has to get back. And the defending wasn't great even when he did get back. And not just from him, from the organisation across the whole of the back four. It's not just him, but it's a I think that is the winner there. Just go and win the header. That solves all the problems. But I think he came on the other night in Drogheda and did well. I think that's the thing with the substitutions, that the changes that were made towards the end of the game in Drogheda worked, and I think the changes that were made tonight worked as well. Which, if you're happy with the team coming off the pitch against Drogheda, then that's what you go with to start the game this week. And I do think it's. Apart from the mistake, I think it's a good idea to challenge Darragh Leahy at left back and not just have him guaranteed to be playing every week. That it's good to get somebody else in there. And it unfortunately hasn't really worked out. That hasn't worked out tonight, because it's arguably the cause of the goal. But the but it's like you're looking at the changes that he made at the end of this game, or like the second half of this game, have made a difference. And again, it's something that I've been critical of before in scenarios where we've been losing. Sometimes we've made a raft of changes and changed formation and changed everything, and the substitutions the other night and tonight made sense in that I don't know whether Louis was carrying an injury or if he's just tired or if he just wasn't playing well. We took him off and putting on a centre back and keeping a shape as much as we can keep a shape of 10 men in that scenario. But I thought, yeah, like the changes worked out, even if some of the selections from the beginning didn't exactly set the what on fire? Set something on fire?
The AstroTurf pitch.
Yeah, they didn't set the pitch on fire.
Gally, like I think the thing is, so McCourt goes with his hands up in the air looking for the free kick. He doesn't win that. Mulroney's got time then on the ball. He turns. He's able to run at the defenders. They're all on the back foot because of the long ball in. They don't notice the player running in behind them. But then even when the ball's crossed over to McCarthy and he taps it in, it's just like this subdued moment of
it was.
I thought it was this easy. That was the most annoying part.
I'd love to get Flano's take on who's in the commentary box because it just seemed to. I thought it was an offside. I think there's no way he's gone in offside there. Like I'd retire if that was me. If I peeled an offside from a pass like that. But it just seemed to be just kind of. And then for a split second, it was like a celebration that it was an ex-player that scored. Do you know that kind of way? I kind of thought. After I got through the lineup quickly, I was like, there's nobody playing up front that played for us. And it's just really strange. It was like he didn't. I don't know if he didn't expect it or didn't think it was a goal. It was really, really odd. But yeah, and John's right there. Like three, it's criminal. Like whatever but Robbie McCourt. I nearly said Robbie Dundale. Lads, he's going to stop with them comments. Whatever but Robbie McCourt. To get sidelined, but three of them to get sidelined by that pass, and then even if he doesn't drill it in, if he takes a touch at all, he can actually get in on goal himself. But because the centre half, I don't know if it's Boyle at that stage has come across and just completely left. Like all the time in the world. I mean, to pick a spot, that's just as bad from the mistake. I would feel because three have gotten sucked into that little position. What they're talking probably 6 or 7 yards of each other. And it's silly stuff, but like you said, they've been caught on the hop. They're not expecting, obviously, they're expecting Robbie to clear that ball, and they're probably caught a little bit downfield with the long pass and the free kick. But yeah, look, it's a great finish. It's a great pass from a really savage pass, but he's actually he's completely destroyed the three of them. Yeah. And then because that they brought over the other player to cover the cross, but yeah, it's not like I don't want to say schoolboy stuff. You get caught like that. Good players will do that to you, but when you gift it to them, it looks
like something that you'd work off a training. Yeah, because we were so statuesque nearly in our defending, though, isn't it? It's like quick one-time passing and running off the ball, cross it back, and it's something you would work on a training ground like that. We shouldn't be that easy to play through, and I'm sure that's something that Skip doesn't do happy with at all.
You're right. You would do it on a training ground, and you'd hope that would be the best case scenario. That would be like, if they're this stupid to do this, we'll get away with this, and then it happens, and you're like. Madness. Like I'd say that's probably why he couldn't believe he scored. Like they're probably like, oh, remember we worked on this in training, never thought this would happen. Like in a way, it's just it's so basic stuff. It's look, and I suppose that's what you desire when Robbie makes a mistake, and it's still preventable. I mean, it's not like he's 5 yards from goals. He's still 30 yards from goals way on the right when it happens. It is preventable. But again, look, the boys just get taken on the hop. And it's a simple pass and simple finish. Now, look, it's made to look simple. It's not that easy, but I mean, we've made them look top class with that kind of mistake, and you get punished. I mean, that's and unfortunately, many teams in this league will punish you like that. Like even the worst of the worst would punish you because it's a simple routine ball, little 1-2 pass straight across the box. I mean, you leave it wide open like that, you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah, and then Skip was talking in his post-match interview as well, saying 16 times in 23 games now we've gone behind first. Like that's frightening. Frightening stat.
Yeah, frightening.
Yeah, I mean, we've done really, really well to get a lot of the points that we've gotten when you consider how many games
we're actually top class. Yeah,
yeah. And imagine if we got a man down in all those games. And it's strange. Like you would think tonight, like if they'd won tonight, and playing with 10 men against a Pats team that had been doing really well, like you wouldn't have been surprised that they'd won tonight. And then there's some of the games when they go behind and you think, like Friday night draw, you're like, this could be 4-0. We could be 4-0 down, and then you come out with a win. So it's look, there's obviously a decent amount of team spirit in the place. So that's a good thing that we can go behind as many times and get as many points. But eventually, like if we go, I suppose you'd say if we go behind on Friday night, that's game over. But who knows? Like this side seems to be capable of pulling off some miraculous comeback. So, but they really have to stop doing that, because it's not a
great luck, is it?
No, it's not the best way to get points to give the
it's not ideal.
No.
Like you're giving yourself an absolute mountain galley to climb, but I suppose we were presented with a good opportunity just before halftime to get back into Conor Malley's header. He puts it anywhere else.
Oh, stop!
And it's an equaliser, isn't it?
Yeah, and I thought it was Pat Hoobin. I just assumed it would happen that fast. I thought it was Pat Hoobin was on
it
the
didn't
cross.
go in though.
And it didn't go in. So clearly it wasn't Pat Hoobin. But yeah, look, it's
another good cross though from Davis, isn't it?
Oh, cracking! Yeah, I was going to mention something with Davis later in the game. I'll get back to that, but yeah, it's a perfect cross, pinpoint. I mean, he must have thought most players in the field. Like, I'm trying to think of anybody that'd be really shocking head on. Like even Keith Ward, for his size, would expect this is going to come to me. I'm going to nail this, and it's just how's your luck. The keeper's well positioned. He's hit it down his throat a little bit, but yeah, that's a bullet header. It really is. And I was up off the chair as normal. Like it's happened a few times this season where I just assumed we were going to score the way the ball's fallen. I think probably half the ground did as well. But yeah, it's just, if you'd have to wonder then, if you take that chance and go in at half time and you get that run in the second half, whether or not you would have got that run in the second half because you're drawing, maybe the 1-0 down gave them that little bit of oomph, a little bit more. But you'd like to think that you would have went on and won it then, But yeah, look, it's just one of those that he'll probably agonise over, because look, they've come out with a draw. It's not like they've lost it to death or anything, but I think, yeah, look, little moments like that, you might just come back to haunt you during the season. Look, I know that they're down to 10 men. We're down to 10 men. We've definitely earned a draw. We haven't robbed it, but moments like that, that will probably haunt Conor now for a couple of weeks, so that you probably try and get that back in the next couple of weeks. But look, that's the luck you give yourself.
Yeah, Donald, it seemed in the first half, I think Tulloch was in a position. I think Malley was in a position. Just have a crack. And we kind of wanted to pass away into the box every single time, when every so often we cut into a bit of space on the edge of the box and nobody would just take the shot. It can get frustrating at times. And were you surprised to see, I suppose, Cammy Elliott then come in at half time?
Yeah, well, there seems to be a feeling around the place about the negative, not negative style of football, but just not taking the positive option on a lot of times, whether it's playing forward quicker or taking a chance on a ball or shooting from the edge of the box. It seemed like there was a good few opportunities to do that, even in the second half when we had we had them under a lot of pressure. It seemed like certain players were just no, I'm not shooting. I'm going to find an extra pass. Then it ends up, you're recycling the ball and you're trying to get yourself back into a shooting position again. So you would think, what's the harm in having a crack from the edge of the box?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to start complaining if you pass it backwards anyway. So you may as well just have a shot, and maybe it goes 30 yards over the bar. Maybe it, deflects off somebody. You just don't know. But there is I don't know whether it's a part of the coaching thing of you don't want to just lose possession all the time. You don't want to keep taking shots from 25 yards that are really low in the XG and all that kind of crack. Whether this is thinking of let's try and get ourselves into a much better position before we shoot, because there's no point in shooting all the time when there's no chance of scoring. But you want to see Malley having a few more shots.
Yeah,
the lad is the quality of shot that he has.
Yeah. And that's probably a hangover from Kenny era where Stephen would have played, and that's probably because they're used to playing that kind of ball. And it's great when it works, but I think there's times when I definitely agree with you, Donald. There's times when it needs to just somebody take it by the scruff of the neck and absolutely pepper the goal.
But that's see what Jason's saying there. The thing about being brave on the ball, you need someone that will give the ball away. You want someone in there that's going to see something and be I'm going to try it. I know we always say this about Wardy, but Wardy will do that. That he'll get the ball, he'll turn, and he'll try and pick a pass. And it might be the most speculative, ridiculous thing you've seen. But it might work. Like you might get somewhere. And like we saw, like Mali did it last week for Dickey in Drogheda, like just a lovely little like reverse pass to put him in. And it's the kind of thing that like they need to try that more. They need to shoot more. They need to try and be more, I don't know, if, like brave, I guess is the way of putting it. But, you know, they need to create more. Everybody will agree on that. Like they need to create more in the final third. And I think there is a point of like, maybe it's as simple as just taking a shot when the opportunity presents itself and try, instead of trying to find a, you know, 100% pass completion stat or whatever it would be, you know.
Right, Gally, I'll let you go first on this. Probably the next big incident in the second half is the sending off. So Tulloch and McCourt took themselves into yellow cards, and then 2 minutes later, Tulloch's off for having a tussle over in front of the bench, the away bench. What's your take on it? Like just to gauge, I suppose, people's feelings out there. You know, Ken saying madness from Tulloch, deserved a right bollocking for that one. Andrew McQuillan said it was never red. It should have gone the other way, a ridiculous decision. The linesman and the ref had a perfect view. That was for the first one, sorry. I think another one just said that Tulloch shouldn't have come back out after, Ronan Coleman's one there. And just that perhaps Tulloch shouldn't even come back out in the second half. And actually, I was quite surprised in that too, because I thought he kept drifting inside and didn't give us any width on that left-hand side. And that seemed to be kind of something we were missing. Go for it, Gally. I'll let you.
Well, Joe,
I could see it coming a mile off.
I would agree with like not coming out of halftime. It's very rare to make switch at halftime managing the league. You know, it is rare. You're kind of hoping that the type of player that Tulloch is, because he's pacey and can get at people, even if he's had a dodgy first half, you're kind of hoping that it's there. Once you get him, you know, once you get him on the run, he can create. But it just didn't. It wasn't going to happen from. If we jump to the yellow, skip the yellow card, and go to the sending off.
Okay.
It is, like I have to agree. I think it is a Ken to put in. It's absolute madness to hang out of a player within 90 seconds of getting a yellow card. Now, the Pats player should have been booked as well. There's 2 of them in it, but you give the ref a very difficult decision when you hang that. I don't believe if he's not on a yellow, he probably doesn't get booked if he's not on a yellow, if that makes sense. Because he's just done it 2 minutes ago, the ref is saying, well, you're a stupid prick. I'm going to book you again now, and you're going to get a red card. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, there's 2 of them at it. If you look at it again, there's 2 of them at it. The fourth official gives him the red card. I don't care what anybody's. It's the fourth official that tells the ref that's a red, because I don't think the ref is going to give him anything. I mean, I just can't see it. I don't see anything happening with it. But even the commentator said, I think it was, I don't know if it was John or Agent that said it, you know, it's not even a booking. You know, and I'd agree with John. Like, definitely the first yellow, you'd have to be more annoyed with that. But to do if it was 10 minutes later, it probably doesn't happen. The fact that it's happened so fast, most refs, 90% of the refs, even if they're having a cracking game, this boy was definitely not having he was having a shocker. But you give them it's not a difficult decision. They're going to go for the card. But the Pats fella should have been booked as well. You know, if he's not on a yellow, I don't think he gets any card. I really don't. I just think it's 2 players battling for the ball. I think Pat's bench, and Dundalk have been guilty of it as well. Pats have come off the bench. Everybody's in it, the physio, the lot. You know, I think they're in the ear of the fourth official. We said it for years over there. If you sit in that, Donald will agree with me. If you sit in that stand and you look right down at the dugouts, the assistant referee's dugout is too close to the away dugout. They're not in the middle. So when you start roaring and shouting, you have the ear of the fourth official straight out the gate. Pat Fenlon was a master of it at Oriel Park for years. Always in talk and in his pockets. And they're not laid out right. You know, it's madness. But look, that's just little bits of it. But that, you know, for me, he's been stupid. He's just been completely stupid. For his performance, he probably deserves a red. You know what I mean? For his performance in the match, he probably deserves it. It saves Stevie making a sub. But hindsight of him coming off, look, yeah, he probably should have come off earlier. But look, you're hoping a player like that will give you something, will give you that little bit of spark. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for him tonight. But I don't know whether I'm caught whether having sympathy with him, or I don't know. For me, it's one of them that, yeah, look, he probably deserves the red because he's done it so fast. But I think if he's on a blank card, if he's no cards at all, he doesn't even get a yellow. But you've done it that fast, you really give the referee an easy decision to make. Sorry,
red card, not a card, or was it the dugouts? You tell me.
I see. Part of the problem is that he got in a scuffle with John Cena because the referee could not see him. Like whoever that Pats player, like it must have been John Cena that was playing for Pats, because it was like they're tussling with each other, and he decides that Tulloch has done something to get a yellow. So the one thing I'd be like you say, Chris, you could see it coming. I don't know what had gotten into his head, but for that 5 minutes, they're like he's just lost it here, and then. It's not the worst foul or whatever, but I'm like, if he gives Tulloch a yellow for the second red, then he has to give the Pats player a yellow as well. Like, I couldn't understand how it was a yellow for one player or not the other. It's just they had it coming together. So, but yeah, it's the thing with the referees in the league. You just don't give them the opportunity to do that. You don't give them the opportunity to give you a yellow card 2 minutes after you've gotten your first one. It's just, it should be, it's not even, like, that's not even our league. I mean, the referees in our league are whatever, but in football, if you've just gotten a yellow card, do not go and wave your hands in front of the referee like, give me another one straight away, because he'll do it. And he has had performances this season where you'd be like, I don't get it. And then he come up with a bit of magic. Like I think he just has that in him. And
and I think that's why O'Donnell persisted with him.
Yeah, exactly why he's still on the pitch is that he still has that creativity in him. He still has the ability to get a goal, and we've struggled for goals a lot. So if there's someone who he's like, well, maybe he'll get something, I'll give him another couple of minutes. But I'd imagine as soon as he got the first yellow, he was already turning around to get somebody ready to come on instead of him, and just couldn't do it quick enough. But I'm not. It's just stupidity, and I think when you're that stupid to get yourself in a situation where the referee can very, very, very easily give you a yellow card straight after getting your first one, then look, you're gone.
Yeah, I think it's, whether it's a red or yellow or nothing at all, you definitely don't want to give the officials in this league a decision to make. And I think that's the scary thing of it all.
Because 99% of those close calls will be a red. If you look back at it, like I 99%, I'm not James Rodgers, I don't have the stats on it, but I mean, it's pretty high. It's very rare. I don't remember. It's very rare common sense. Like we just said, that fast after the first yellow, you're always going to get it, especially when a referee's having a mare like that.
And there's the pylon on the pitch then and everything else. Like, so the ref definitely has to make a decision then. And all that's in the back of his mind is, I must have to give this guy a yellow card. He's not too happy. Well, he can go walking out.
Yeah, the ref's probably thinking to himself, I can't believe he's done this. I can't believe he's given me this decision. Like, it's just stupid. Really, really just like, I can't even remember. I was that fixated on what was happening. I don't even remember where the ball went. Did the ball go to play? Did it go down the field? I don't even remember. I can't remember. The ball was already out. I don't know what they were.
I'm not too sure if it had crossed the line or not.
Yeah.
But then come at the man, Super Nathan Shepherd, with it absolutely outstanding. He's come into some sort of criticism this year, but I think over the past 2 games, he's proven his worth. 2 big saves, and this is his first one tonight. Obviously Pats will, their tails are up. We've got after getting a player sent off. Carthy, ball bounces in front of him and he comes out so quickly and shuts him down with a big save. And that's nearly the turning point, because very soon after that, then Skip suddenly gets his double substitute in there and we start to have an influence. But like we've seen that so many times this year, that a big save, it can be a big turning point. And I think that was probably the turning point of the game, because they go 2-0 up there and we're dead and buried. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I mean, like, although we've had a cracking overall second half, you go 2-0 down, you're down a man, it could end up 3, that's really dodgy couple of minutes at the end of that. definitely not PG tonight. No, to follow.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, and in fairness, he has come in on this show as well, and you know he's had little to do in some games, and then he's had some dodgy nights. But you know how much you can't put a price on saves like this. You know, you really can't. Although it's only a draw, those type of saves, you know, there's very few goalkeepers who stay consistent, who keep that focus, you know, for all of the game, no matter what's happening in front of them. You know, we would have had Gary Rogers down the years that would have done the same. Peter Cherry, you know, when he first arrived at the club was absolutely top class. You know, we've other clubs we won't mention Donal's favourite club down the road in Tala, but cracking goalkeepers there as well. But you know, that's what you need. That last line of defence, you know, you need that concentration. You know, it's really cliche. Shot stopping goalkeepers, like what else are they for? But he is right up there. His reflexes are exceptional. His concentration, and that's what you need. And again, not to sound cliche or you know talking about you know Mali's miss earlier on. You look back on a save like that. You look back on two saves like that and think, right, you know we've gotten away there, and you know he saved us a couple of points, and you know could we have gone on to win it? Yes, but you know like you say, 2-0 down. That probably could have. You know, heads would have definitely been down after that. Probably would have ended up 3 and would have been a real flattering, you know, position to put Pats into. But yeah, that's what he's there for. And, you know, that's why it's hard for anybody else to get a game between the sticks at the minute.
Yeah, look, Donald, Skip loves an impact sub. We've seen him do 2-3 subs at a time before. Taking Louis Ansley off, putting in Muller, that was a strange one during the game, I thought. But obviously, Daniel Kelly coming on for Ryan O'Kane worked, and I was surprised because we've seen in particular, you know, the second half in Drogheda, Ryan was outstanding in that game. Should have had a goal or two, mind you, in that one. But like, let's not knock Skip here because Dickie Kelly comes up with the goods. But you know, he's looking for those impact subs again. Soon after that, we see Leahy come on then as well for McCourt. But then there's two big chances, both fall to Davies at the back, and I just thought he's leaning back. Oh no, and he's put them over. Maybe it's slightly more composed, but look, he's in the right place. I suppose we'll give him that. But they're two big chances for us as well, aren't they?
Yeah, he's leaning so far back, he's horizontal when he's taking one of them. I can't remember which one it was, but he's just like he had the old the pitching wedge right under it. You know, like that's. Can't do that. But like he got himself into so many great positions, like putting crosses in, like for Mali in the first half, and he was absolutely exceptional. I thought in the second half, the engine, he's been great. I think we were saying about the subs. I think Camby Elliott deserves a big shout out for the performance from halftime. Because I was a bit worried at not necessarily taking Doyle off, but leaving us sort of a man short in midfield. I know Hubin would drop deep, and they've played like that now the last few games, so like they're used to playing it. But there's just something about that formation and that setup that worries me a little bit. Playing against a top midfield, I think we'd get caught out, and I thought we would be in trouble. I felt like we were in trouble for about 15 minutes in the second half playing that way, but he just gives you like him and John Martin seem very similar to me, that like the one thing you can always count on when he comes onto the field is that he's going to run and chase down people and put himself about, and like just your guaranteed effort from him, which is it's the least you can ask of him, and he provides it every single time. So I thought he gave them something, just in terms of running in behind, like making himself available for runs in behind, even like I thought he was very effective 2 games in a row now. So that was a big change. The O'Kane one coming off, I think, is say like the same thing from the other night, that if he's just looking for something from someone, and Dickie has a very, very good goals or assists to appearance ratio. Like he invariably does come up with something, even if he's not playing well, even if he's frustrating, or if he's off his game or whatever, he does seem to create a goal or score a goal. And the goal that we got is basically just from his tenacity just from like chasing something down. And I think something that I was worried about, say a few weeks ago with him, was he didn't look as quick. And I know he had like horrendous injuries, and it's taken him a long time to come back from the injuries, and maybe he's just getting back up to speed now. But that was like one of the first times where I'm like, yeah, Dickie was like really fast. Like that was one of the main things we had for him. And that was the one time where I'm like, you could see it coming. Like you could see the confusion between the goalkeeper and the centre back, and you're like, Dickie's actually going to get onto this. And it was like, yeah, because he is that quick. Like, and he does, like I'm saying, like his goal involvements by the end of the season, he'll be like, that's what I've delivered to the team, and can't knock stuff like that, you know. Like even if he can drift out of a game or he can be whatever, he's constantly involved in goals, which is pretty important, I guess.
Especially when we're going one behind all the time.
That's a stark contrast to Tulloch. You know, that's what you're saying. Like you're hoping for Tulloch to give you that little bit, whereas Dickie Kelly, like Tulloch doesn't chase down that ball tonight like that. Probably, you know. I don't think that's harsh. I think that's just that different drive that Dickie has. And yeah, look, I couldn't agree more with
They're different players. Like that's just not like, you know. You're never going to expect to do that, but it's like the players that we brought on, like Dickie and Elliot, you are actually expecting them to chase down them balls all day long. So you know.
Yeah, look, Gally, just on the on the goal, like I say, it's a bit of a hit and hope long one. The defender clearly doesn't see Dickie Kelly thundering in like that. The keeper sees him, but is obviously hesitant, not knowing, kind of just pick this up in the box. Am I going to get there in time? And it's just it's that never say die attitude that Donald mentioned there, you know, and just wanting to get in and wanting to get a goal. It's probably that type of flick on is what he probably should have done in Drogheda on Friday, but you know he got in there and he got that touch, and it's probably what we deserve because we did try to apply ourselves at least, even with a man down.
Yeah, the least we deserve. We probably like on the second half performance, we probably could have won it. You know, that's, you know, I don't think it's that close to kick off now. We've time to digest, but actually we could have won it. We had chances. We can talk about Dickie's chance after that as well. But even it just bounced perfect for him. I know, look, he's definitely put in the shift to get in there. He's out muscled the centre half there, but it just bounced. Like you said, the goalkeeper's come out and he's had to come out that far. He's in no man. It's not no man's land, but he's caught just in that.
He's waiting for it to see if he can just grab it to inside the box.
Can I grab it? Will he take him down? Will he take the ball? Will he take the man? And it's just bounced perfectly. And I'm not saying it's a weighted pass. It's not Kevin De Bruyne we're talking about, but it's just bounced perfectly on the surface for him, and he's able to get his foot on it. And you know, and
didn't expect Kevin De Bruyne to get mentioned talking about this goal at all.
It just seemed to be. It almost seemed to go in slow motion. Like I didn't know whether the other defender, I can't remember who it was. I think it was actually the boy that kind of got booked with Tulloch. You know, I actually know he might get in to clear it, but I mean, it's a fantastic finish. He's gotten himself, like Donald said, that tenacity, desire to get in there. You know, on the flip side of that, from Tulloch, would Tulloch have done that? They are two different players, like Donald said. But that's it. You know, even if you think Pat Hoobin probably doesn't reach that because Dickie just covers the ground that fast. I don't even know if Pat Hoobin gets in on that kind of pace because they probably
it's nearly Dickie's trademark at this stage, though.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And they'd have more eyes on Pat Hoobin, whereas, like you said, Chris, he almost lost Dickie Kelly in the run for it. He just completely forgot he was there, and you don't forget Pat Hoobin's there. So you know, it's a nice culmination of everything that came together for the goal. And yeah, look, it's a fantastic. He took his finish really well. Many might have tried to take a touch and go around the keeper. You know, Dickie hit his first time, and yeah, look, it's fantastic. It's great for him as well because, you know, apart from, with the exception of Pat Hoobin, people love when Daniel Kelly scores for Oriel Park. Even away from, they just seem to, you know, he's a real draw for the club, and the fans have for him as well. And look, it's great that he got it. And then on the flip side of that, I don't know if that's your next question, the miss he has after that.
Yeah, that's the next one. I was going to go to Donald for that one. Donald.
Yeah, go on, Donald, you can take it.
Just, you know, the ball, it comes in from Sloggett's cross. It goes over everyone to the back post. He's standing there. It just, if he probably lets it hit him or something, it goes in, it trickles across the line. I don't know what the hell happens. But unfortunately, it doesn't. He doesn't get the look with this one.
Yeah, I don't even know how to talk about that one because I couldn't really.
I think he needs to just be running onto the ball. If the ball's coming towards him and he has to do something, maybe he's too much time to think.
You see, because I was like right behind it in the stand, so I couldn't actually tell. Like it looked like that. It looked like all he had to do was like keep running, and it would have hit him, and he would have gone in. But I thought, oh, maybe he had to stretch for it. Maybe he wasn't actually as close to it as he seemed. But yeah, it did sort of baffle me at the time. Yeah, it did. And I did want to think like, maybe he wasn't actually as close to it. Maybe I'm being harsh, but yeah, it was like that was that was the moment I think that was like, yeah, this is just going to be a draw now, isn't it? Like if that hasn't gone in,
it was obviously he was just caught in that moment where I don't know if he's obviously thinking. Well, he's not obviously thinking. I don't know what he's thinking, but I'm obviously going too quick, or the ball's not moving to it that I can throw my leg at it. So let's just hit whatever I can get on it, and just hope. Like the thing, if it probably zipped in a little bit harder, it probably hits him hard enough that it goes into the net. It's just one of those moments that, you're crying for just to hit him. Oh, it's crazy, but it swings and roundabouts. That's just football.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate for him.
The important thing is to score the goal before it, though. So you're still the hero.
Yeah,
from his point of view.
Yeah.
Because if we're talking about that as being our potential equalizer and he's missed it, we'd be absolutely berating him right now.
Yeah. If he does actually, if anyone wants to tell him to listen to the podcast, tell him to stop listening just after we've talked about the goal. Don't listen to the rest of this.
So I suppose reflecting back on it, then Gally, like is a point a fair result here tonight? If you're offered this at the start of the night, would you have taken it? We haven't lost any ground to the teams, in and around us in that top 4 or 5 positions. I suppose that's probably more ideal than losing ground and trying to catch it back up, considering we'd have paid extra games than everyone else too.
It's easy. I was going to say, I would have taken it, but I'm probably looking at it from having watched the match and how we played. But if we're at our best, I wouldn't be taking a draw against Pats at Oriel Park. No, I wouldn't be. I mean, you can have all kind of different. We've played Friday. It's now Monday again. We're on Friday. You can bring that into it's 3 games in a week, but it's 3 games for everybody in a week. You know what?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Pats probably would have came.
Especially the European teams.
No, of course, yeah. But Pats would have came here thinking, and I say like John Daly's had them on a real good uphill track. But you'd like to think, with the exception of Rovers or Derry, anybody coming to Oriel Park, you should be looking to win the game and hopefully win the match. Considering how we played, look, I'm probably looking at it with those glasses on that, we would have taken a draw. But for me, no, not St. Pat's, not coming to Oriel Park. I would definitely wouldn't have taken a draw beforehand. But when you look at the lineup, what you mentioned earlier, the changes Sod had made, you could see why it maybe ended a draw, because without being, I don't want to be overly critical of Ryan Tulloch, but he's had that little of an impact. You're playing with 10. That's what you're doing at the start of it. You're technically down a player because they're having little or no impact on it. So look, it's one of them. You're delighted with the point. It's mad that we could have won it. We just thought with Dickie Kelly's chance, but I don't think we should be looking to take a draw against the likes of a Pats team at Oriel Park. They have some excellent players, but I think on any night we should be looking to beat anybody. I mean, with the exception of Rovers and Derry, you'd expect to take 3 points from most teams in the league. I think Pats are on a bit of a run with Daly, but yeah, look, I mean, just look, you're delighted with the draw considering we played it well. I think we actually could have won it. So to sum up, no, I wouldn't have taken the draw before the game started.
We got there. We got there in the end. Look, there's plenty in for a man of match competition, so we might as well do it. Donald, I see Frank is agreeing with you there, so we just go down to the 10 men. Really, is the key. For the rest.
If we play with one less, we're good.
10 men on minus a goal.
Yeah. So that seems to be the way we go. Donald, I come to you first. Your man of the match tonight. I suppose if I have a quick look through, there's a lot for certain individuals. Let's just say there's lots for Shep. There's a bit for Dickie Kelly coming in there, and Darragh Leahy making an impact as well coming in. It also gets a mention. For yourself, Donald.
Yeah, look, I think Gally's saying there that we could have won it at the end. Pats are definitely going to come out thinking they could have won it at the end. I think the reason that they didn't win tonight is Nathan Shepherd. I think that the turning point of that first save, and then like even remembering like when we got to injury time and we had was it a corner or a free kick or something and everybody was up and I'm like, we definitely lost against Pats last season with an injury time counter attack goal, didn't we? Like that definitely did happen. I didn't just, that wasn't a nightmare. That did happen. And
no, it did.
The way that even the way that the ball bounced, I don't know who the Pats player was, but I think it was Dickie Kelly tried to clear it across the edge of the box and right onto the toe of whoever the Pats player was, and then the keeper comes in to rescue it. So I think Shepard's my man of the match, and the thing of being critical of him at different stages this season, in his defense, it's like the level was so high last year that even if it drops a little bit, it's going to seem like he's not playing as well as he played last year. And I think there was a stretch there where like we had a few games where there was the opposition had one shot on target and it went in and we lost 1-0 or we drew 1-0 because of that one thing. And the difference between this season and last season is he made those saves last season and got us those points. The same way he did it tonight, that he had two big saves to make and he made both of them and even came for a couple of corners, which is miraculous. When the entire like the two star players are standing around him and he still manages to get the hands up for it. So I'm saying goalkeeper Nathan Shepherd man of the match tonight.
Gally?
Yeah, I just seen Frank's comment. Cammy Elliott, I thought for what he was on, I thought he was excellent. Archie Davis as well. But like Donald said, it is, and it's great to see Cammy Elliott because we spoke about Cammy a couple of weeks ago. We didn't really know what way he was going to play. It was nice to see him in the two. He had a real impact on the game. But I mean, it's hard to look past. Like Flano said, he's come for the last two corners as well. When a player can produce that, when a goalkeeper is a solid game, it's very hard to bet against him. Like something like man of the match. Not that everybody's queuing up for pizzas, lads, but if you're talking about two top saves that get you that point and keep you in the game, Chris, you'd said that you go down to 2-0 there at that point of the game, it's game over, and that's what he does, and that's what he produces. And there's so many keepers that we've had over the years that have done that for us, and he's just another one on a long list. And like I seen a comment there how we haven't tied him to a contract. I don't know why. I really don't know what's going on. You'd hope that there's no Chinese whispers in the background of him going somewhere else. But yeah, Nathan Shepherd all day. I think he's I mentioned for Cammy Elliott and Archie Davis, I think as well, because I've been very critical of Davis early on in the season. But yeah, Sheps for me, absolutely.
Yeah, same. Look, it seems to be a thing where we're often talking about, impact subs and that coming off as well. But I think that, like I say, it's a big save at a big moment as well in the game, and he controlled his box pretty well. And that's kind of what we needed tonight from Shep. That also rolls into his big save on Friday night in Drogheda. Whatever his mistakes have been, I think his saves and what he's added to the team definitely outweighs a lot with him. So yeah, for myself, I would be for Nathan Shepherd too. Pretty much, I would say 80% of them were probably Nathan Shepherd. A lot of people kind of just mentioning a couple of other players in that as well. I think tonight we'll probably give it to Ronan Connelly there. He talks about Cammy working his socks off as well, and hope the injury isn't worse, because I know speaking, with Skip, he was worried about his calf injury, and that's why he didn't start Elliott tonight. And then, to be fair to Elliott, he ran half the length of the pitch to make a tackle to get back in again, and I think that ended up being his undoing tonight. But you can't beat that sort of graft and that from him as well. So fingers crossed it's not, because I think he was coming into some sort of form for him as well. So, but for me, yeah, look, it's probably Sheps for man of the match tonight. Not for the first time as well, of course. That Nathan Shepherd has come up for this. There was a discussion here on Friday, obviously, with James and Niall Newbury as well, about the contract situation. And that's, what's he worth? And I did say, would you sacrifice bringing in somebody else now that Waziri Williams is gone and get him a new contract? Is that worth more than bringing a player in right now? But then you look, if Cammy Elliott's gone and got injured now as well, we're tight to the bone with players. Like, what's your feeling on Nathan Shepherd's lack of forthcoming contract for him. You know, it's going to come into July. He can talk to others now as well. Are we in a situation where we've lost probably our prize asset again? Don't want to come to you first.
Yeah, I think we probably have. I think he's going to be gone. There was talk of, you know, clubs having a look at him in the summer. Now whether anybody would be willing to pay for him when he can go for free at the end of the season, I'm not sure. But I think we all assumed he would be gone at the end of this season. But whether it was gone for money or not is the thing. So I can't see them getting him tied to a contract now. I think the time is probably past for that. Because you're just even not so much being fair to him, like forgetting about the football club, but you're going to make it more difficult for someone to pick him up. So if I can't see it. I can't see the contract being signed, and I can see him going for free at the end of the season. And you think if somebody's looking for him, like somebody's saying like, oh yeah, he's a young goalkeeper, we'll bring him in and we'll see how he gets on. You wouldn't mind him going off to play a couple of European games. Sorry, Flano, but you wouldn't mind seeing him go and play a couple of European games, see how he gets on, you know, because you've only seen him play in the League of Ireland. So like send him off into Europe, see how he gets on, and then be like, right, look, this is definitely the kid for us. So we'll talk to him and we'll get him signed up for the end of the season. But I think that thing of like sacrificing him over other players when it's a tough one, because he has been so good and he has been so important, but there are other areas of the field that we need to address as well. And you're looking at like, it's how long are we going to sign him up for? Like, how long is he going to stay for? I know you get your money back and stuff if he goes, but how long is he actually going to stay here? Like realistically.
Oh, well, I think when we had the option of extending his contract after year one, we should have tried to roll out a 2-year contract then, even on reduced wages or whatever it could have been, you know, try to broker the best deal for the club. So we're not back in the situation in 12 months time again. Probably would have been the most ideal opportunity. Even an 18-month contract or something an extension might have been better. That just bought us a bit more time for it. Because I just feel that just when it's getting to a busy end of the season, when we're going to need him, and like you say, now he's going to get European experience and stuff as well. It's only going to kind of add to his stock as a free agent at the end of the year. And someone could look and saying, well, how many other 21, 22-year-olds have that much first team football, European experience in a physical enough league then as well? Okay, yeah, that's, you know, it's an ideal candidate to be able to bring into a team. So I think that's the worrying thing. And, you know, as James mentioned on Friday, the sad thing is that the player wanted to sign a contract, you know, was asking the club to come forward with a contract, and we're not in a situation to do that. Now, the other thing I did say was, I wonder if a run in Europe and potential prize money might open the door for potential longer contracts in key individuals as well. You know, we talk about there's a potential loss of nearly €1 million in the club, you know, so if we can get to round 3, you'd be talking close to, you know, 750. Obviously there's expenses and stuff to come out of that, but that might bridge some sort of a gap as well, and help us out in that situation. I don't know, Gally, it's a tough one to call, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like something I was going to say that Flano's just put in. Like, if you were trying to sign a goalkeeper, and obviously, look, you said he's looking for a contract because of the way the League of Ireland season works. He needed to sign that contract last year. You know, like, you know, August, September, because like Donald had said, unless he's going to be signed, nobody's going to come in from July across the water and buy him, because unless he's going in as a number 1 somewhere and somebody's badly stuck. So even if you were to offer him another 12 months, you'd have to sell him in January coming up to make any money, because otherwise we're sitting here next year and it's the same situation. Like, he's probably, even if you got him on a contract now, the chance of him signing a 2-year contract is highly unlikely. But even now, a 1 year, because he waited so long, you'd have to actually, for want of a better word, you'd actually have to get rid of him in January if you wanted to make any money. I don't mean get rid. I mean, if the club wanted to get back what they've spent. So it's just one of those situations where they've let it go, and look, the money's not obviously
He's
there.
probably one of our prized assets at the club, though, isn't it? Like, you're thinking of a sell-on value. Name another player at the club that's got a sell-on value that Nathan Shepherd could have.
That's it, yeah. And like, we knew this after half a dozen games in the league.
Yeah.
They played, we knew that this boy is good. Like, we didn't obviously in pre-season for that famous pre-season Bose match, but we done nothing but speak about him. Like he was far and away player of the season last year. It's just a strange one that they haven't. And look, we don't know.
Well, obviously, there's not finances available for it. Like, that's
yeah,
what
that's what I find mental.
There's no other logical reason.
Yeah, like, when you consider the players we brought in on loan, what they're getting. I'm not saying you should offload anybody to you'll always find a goalkeeper. You're not going to find someone in the league as good as this one, in my opinion. But if you're caught in a rock between a rock and hard. Like Donald says, do you offer the money? I like the idea of waiting until Europe and seeing what happens, and can you offload some of that? But unless you can get him on a more than a 1 year contract, it's not actually worth it. And you're not going to be able to get rid of him now coming up. Nobody's going to buy him, like Donald said. Like, unless somebody badly stuck for a goalkeeper, they're nobody going to pay for number 2 to come in and sit on the bench. So they're going to be quite happy to wait till January. And I think Frank had mentioned there I think he could sign a pre-contract because, did McElhenney sign one last summer after we played them? So, I mean, the option is there. You don't really want to hear that in July that he's going in January, but it's just the club have waited. Look, they don't have the money. Even if they had it now, they probably waited too long, in my opinion.
The problem too, like if they had given the keeper a new contract at whatever the wages were, then I don't know what the wage expectation was going to be. I don't know what was asked for. I don't know what what he's expected. So potentially he's asking for whatever amount of money, and then that sets off the next contract as well. He's getting this much. And if they're not in a position to be able to match that contract the whole way across, they can't just for one player say, right, we're going to give you this much money, and when someone else comes up, we're like, no, we can't. But because he's better than you, like they can't operate like that. And there's a little bit of like I'm like 100% behind the idea that like when they had the opportunity, they should have given him a contract if they were able to do it. If they were able to say like we can match this money for this contract length, and like Guy's saying, we get, if someone comes in from at the end of the season, at the end of the English season, then you're getting money and he plays the rest of the year here or whatever it would be. But I don't think the best thing is to blow up whatever budget they have for the goalkeeper that's going to be gone at the end of or in July, because then you're left without a goalkeeper the rest of the season. And I know it's a shit thing and people hate having to hear it, but it's like they just can't do that. They just can't treat one player like he's a superstar ahead of other players. Like saying Connolly, Flannel mentioned Connolly there from last year. It's the same thing. They can't just say to him, well, you want this much money, so look, here, you can have it. We can't pay for new players, but you have to get your contract. Like it's I'm not saying that that's the scenario that they can't pay for players. Like I'm just saying as an example, like they can't break a wage structure for one player. No, I haven't said that. I don't know what the ask was financially from Shefford's side of things. But if they don't feel like they can do it, then what are they supposed to do?
Yeah. You're stuck in a rock and a hard place with it, isn't it? And that's the thing.
Yeah, you've got that fan end of it that we want to spend. Let's just spend all money on him because he's top class. But look, there obviously is that structure in place where you can't. And look, it's such a pity because we've seen this happen a million times. Like this goes back to Richie Towell. This is when this all started. We don't seem to have that. We don't seem to have that.
Well, Darrell Horgan and Andy Boyle, he's all left for nothing.
Yeah, look, all absolutely pittance. And then we get money for Dylan Connolly. Like, what's that about?
Look, there's ways. There's things. Sorry, Chris. There's ways of getting better at this. Like they need to get better at selling youth players. They need to get better at selling players the way other clubs are selling players that are in the under 15s and 16s and stuff. They need to sort that stuff out because
like Bo's are top class out.
Yeah, and
unbelievable.
Because the plan can't be that we'll sign the player down because he's going to get sold.
Yeah.
Like that can't be how. I know it's like there are teams that work along like those kind of lines. But there's ways around this. Like if you don't have anybody, like if it is going to be a contract thing, and they should sort this contract thing because we've lost so many players for free, and it's horrible. But we're not in a scenario where we could, like those yokels up the road that can offer contracts to players that aren't going to play. Like it's just, we're not structured to do it. They need to get to build this thing of having youth players come through that they can use them as like, well, they can go off and play for whoever and not be as reliant on trying to not get rid of, but like it wouldn't be as heartbreaking if somebody leaves for free because they are making money from other players. Like it's I don't know if we've ever properly figured that out. Even when Kenny was around, like we didn't ever really do that. We were like concentrated, not solely concentrated, but mostly concentrated on the 11 on the pitch, and didn't have that backup of youth players that were, I guess, I was going to say attractive. That sounds weird, but they weren't like, weren't on the market, to close the thing that.
I think on the other side of that, though, just to get you out of your attractive players moment, like you could say, so do we invest into younger players? You could say, did we do that? We see a potential player in Manny when he was in the academy at Drogheda. We bring him into our under-19s, then we let him go back. And, there's a potential player who could be playing, we're talking there that Williams has left. We could do it another centre half in. There's a ready-made potential player right there. And, we let him go to those other jobs, not that far down the road. So it's very hard then, isn't it? Like, because that could be a solution to it, because you would say Manny, once again, is of a right age with potential sell-on value. And yet we've lost that player. We're talking about Nathan Shepherd. Thing could happen then as well. Like like you said, it's something we have to get better at, and we have to start protecting ourselves in these scenarios.
Yeah, and it's not going to be easy, because you get yourself in a scenario where someone like him he'd have contract demands, and if we're not going to meet those contract demands, then he can just walk up the road and find, like, he's not guaranteed first team guaranteed first team football, I imagine, when he went up there. And we weren't in a position to offer him that, so he's like, look, I'm just going to play football. So there's a lot of different elements to it, but that scenario is the one that we need to get right going forward. That, like, if we do have a talented player in our youth system, that we keep him. Like, it sounds simple enough, but obviously hard to do.
Yeah. Gally, have you a solution to this?
No,
10 to 12 on a Monday night.
Yeah, no, I don't. I definitely don't have a solution. I mean, obviously for us, we think, oh well, why would you want to play anywhere else? That's the real question. Like if you're already here, why would you be going somewhere else? That's the real nux. Like they don't say, they've got to sort this out. They've got to say, well, why are they moving on? Why were players allowed to walk? And youth players, like Manny's a perfect example. We had a certain someone on here last year that thought this boy was going to play this season at centre back. And it didn't happen for whatever reason. I think he trained one morning with Dundalk and signed for Dundalk on the same day, or Drogheda on the same day. Yeah. Like, that shouldn't happen. And John's mentioned other players. Like, there's so many good players there. That we got young Kenny there as well. But I just don't get it. We signed Ryan O'Kane a couple of seasons ago. I think he got a 3-year contract straight out the gate, did he? When it was Stephen O'Donnell brought it, or Stephen McDonald brought him in. That long-term focus needs to apply to these players. They're not idiots up there. I mean, they can spot talent. I mean, let's get them. I don't mean they're getting them down to contracts so they can't go anywhere and force them to stay, but let's create an environment where this is where they want to come and play football and stay. And, like, when you're leaving the door to go to Drogheda, obviously you're kind of thinking, what are we at? Like, what's the story there? It could be the other way around. But it just seems to be a flaw.
Not us, it's him.
Yeah, that's it. It seems to be just a flaw that we have. And you're hoping it puts the infrastructure in place. You're hoping we don't want to be a feeder club for other clubs in the league. That's not what Dundalk are. It's just not what we're about. And like, we can argue there, like, we had Tiernan Mulven on here before talking about Stephen Kenny, and we were kind of arguing the youth never got a chance. And Tiernan was saying, no, they did get a chance. They just didn't produce it on nights when they played 11v11 and stuff like that. So that's another flip side of it, that there might not be anybody. But, we've seen for one or two that there is, and it just hasn't really progressed. They've gotten a run in the first team. They're on when the players are injured or sick, and they're getting half bit parts. Owen Kenny is someone that's, lit up the Irish underage. Has he kicked a ball for Dundalk and Anger all season? Not really. He hasn't really got a look at it. Not that I'm not saying he has to play, but let's get these boys, involved in the first team as much as they can. And they are. They've been in the bench in fairness, but they're not really getting a run at it. And they're going to get picked off eventually. Someone's going to spot something that they want in them. And like Manny's the perfect example. And I don't know how to fix it. I really don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if maybe Oriel Park itself just isn't attracted to these players. I don't know, but it's a tough watch sometimes when especially Chris, you just mentioned, with Zeri going back. We should be able to look to the 19s now and say, right, who's ready to step up? Manny was that player, and now he's barking it down at Drogheda every weekend. It's just one of those things, and it can't continue to happen because you're only going to get picked off. You don't want to be that club,
Yeah,
that's what clubs do to UCD. Do you know what I mean? We don't want to be that
exactly.
Club,
Yeah. Maybe it's the dugouts. I don't know. Right. Well, lads, we've gone for over an hour here. There's been attractive players and crazy dugouts tonight. That's what I've taken from this show tonight. I want to say a quick thanks to our sponsors always, for Tony's Pizzeria for the match competition, for Player Fit for our new shirt this year, and for Donald Green and Dundalk Village, of course, for their continued sponsor. Thank you, Donald. So in a night where we didn't play well, went down a man, somehow we still managed to pull ourselves back into the game and come away with a point. Important not to lose ground, but at the end of the day, those attractive players and the dugouts really have stolen the show tonight. And I think we'll leave it there until Friday. Come on down.